Trading card game, Game Boy. The Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy was fantastic, but did you know there was a sequel exclusive to Japan?
There's been a fan translation for some time and I wanted to get stuck right into it. Note, fan translation, some names of characters or locations may differ from official sources.
Long-time viewers might remember my GB videos where I played old decks looking at the old cards and sets from back in the day. Real troopers will remember that I streamed the sequel, but I never finished it.
The day starts out recapping the previous game, how I'm an incredibly talented Pokemon card player, when Team Great Rocket fly in, invading TCG Island. They hoover up and steal all of the Pokemon cards and kidnapping several of the club masters. That sets us up, we're ready to go. Unlike the previous game's goal of just becoming the best, becoming the champion, now we've got to save the world. Having an evil team isn't the only thing we've got new cards. In addition to the base fossil, we've now got Rocket and the Vending Machine series. The card pool has grown and allows for a lot more decks to be laid out, including the new Dark Pokemon. Clubs have had their cards stolen, so it's down to me to help get back the club's cards and rescue the masters. Let's get ready to rock and roll with the Rock Club and start the adventure.
Gene and company, along with most of the island, have had their decks stolen, leaving them completely defenceless to any would-be attacker.
Stop.
And unfortunately for Gene, it really is that easy. So he uses fighting type cards like Rhyhorn, but like I say, unfortunately for him, the starter deck that we get has a Spearow in it. They can't catch this little bird.
Catch him! Catch him, Derry!
Thankfully Gene isn't too angry with me. Points us in the right direction where this grunt ran off to.
So GR1 is in the fighting club all by himself and is surprised to see that we've actually beaten Gene. Thankfully though, with a couple of the cards that Gene has then given us, we can buff up our deck to take him out. Even though Gene couldn't, it's almost used the reverse of what just happened, using our own Rhyhorn now to just smack, smack, smack. And it's like in the first game, where once you do beat an opponent, you do get a prize pack or two. And we do get some very nice cards, much like the Dark Charizard. Now he's giving me broken bits of gub from his pocket. What? Confused by the empty grass club, I'm ready to just leave until I speak to a member in the side room, where they're ready to blow the cover on the witness protection for Nikki, if I can beat them. Guess where that goes?
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not.
But we find Nikki, we have a little chat, and that somehow triggers the GR number 1 to be back at the grass club. So back we go. Their Dark Arbok does get the best of a Rapidash, leaving the rest of the team to pick up the pieces. And here's where I relearn some of the earlier mechanics, forgetting that Dark Charizard needs to evolve from Dark Charmeleon. There's nothing in the science club, just a bunch of nerds. It's time for the second instance of backtracking. First off, it's the Psychic Club, but we get told to go to the Lightning Club. Once they see the effort we put in and how good we are, GR4's like, I don't want this anymore, I'm going to the Psychic Club. So at least now I can actually get into the Psychic Club and hopefully rescue Psychic Club Master Murray. So why didn't he see all this happening if he was psychic? I think he's a fraud. I just think he's a spoon-bending twit. He'll probably start banning some cards soon. But GR4 does have a fairly formidable deck, with lots of strong psychic types to contend with. Jolteon has its work cut out, but does come through. With GR4 defeated, they quickly scarper off back to GR Island, giving us another piece of the coin at least, before we have to move on. Pulling double duty, GR3 has both the water and fire gym. I don't really know how he managed to take over the fire gym, as half of his deck consists of grass cards. At the very least, with my starter deck, I can take out half of his, with no problem. And it is no problem. He's down, he's out. He's lost both of his clubs. He is getting fired. But that is also the GR coin complete. We can now leave TCG Island and head over to their main base. As we've knocked out these early GR decks and rescued some club members, the opposing decks haven't been too crazy, all fairly standard stuff. Quite
but a few of the masters will give you anti-GR member decks like Gene did very early on, which do, as you would think, and just counter their decks easily. GR Island mixes it up. Each club has its own set of rules, some maybe with set typing so you can only use grass types, some only let you use certain Pokemon like Eevee. It's an added twist that makes you rethink how you need to build your deck for this particular opponent. Soon enough, stopped in my tracks by this mysterious GRX. Surely he's no joke. Through a tough battle we beat him, and it's just Ronald. You might want to rethink the whole spying thing, when it wasn't much of a mystery when his own theme song plays and he uses the Ronald's GRX deck. First stop on GR Island is the Grass Club. Lots of status conditions to contend with, 2 trainers with their own special rules. One of only grass energy cards and the other that grass Pokemon are immune to all special conditions. It should be straightforward as the deck given to us at the start of the game benefits us massively as it's fire based. It's a Charizard Gen 1 dream.
I like Charizard, he's strong, cool looking, hell yeah. It's safe to say for many years I've been a Charizard fan. And my younger self would definitely agree.
Thankfully, with the anti-GR decks to push any matchups had previously, there isn't a need to really grind for cards. Senor Grassy asks, rules stop grass types from having status effects, but being able to exploit their weakness, there's a rule I'll accept.
Pocker is able to get up a Volplin pretty quickly and is then able to just decimate my cards with all its poison effects, taking out one of my Rapidashes. Like, as you can sort of see, loads of damage across my Rapidash and my Charmeleon. But, like I say, with that weakness, I'm able to sort of just like hit them and mostly knock them out in one go. Dark Rapidash really coming in clutch. But with lucky switches, the poison doesn't add up to too much, and he only takes 1 prize while we've won the game, and that's the GR Grass down. Making advances on enemy territory. This is the first of many. We must gotta keep pushing forward. Now the lightning fort was a little bit tricky. See Chip here, Doc Brown looking son of a gun. He was maybe the only real person that I had to refight several times just because I got really unlucky with my draws, my deck, whatever. And he's not even the leader. So goodness knows what I'm going to come up against in a minute. But Catherine's deck isn't really any joke. She does extra damage. She's able to get those sort of numbers that just one-shot a lot of my lower basic Pokemon. So being able to evolve some of my Pokemon help kind of stall out the turns until I can get going. Even one turn has a nice double knockout where her Dark Jolteon knocks my Charmander out but then herself out. Rapidash once again being the horse to bet on. And that's another fort down. And we can make our way to the Fire Fort. Things really start to heat up. Ha ha ha. Bernard here is a head chef, but there's no time to let him cook or anything. We've got a card game to play. Magmar puts in a ton of work with both Smokescreen and Smog. Smokescreen stopping them from hitting us for damage so we can sort of delay out a little bit. Smog, if heads, gets the poison and can often knock out like a lot of their 40 hit point Pokemon in the turn coming back to us as long as they don't retreat.
Ooh, a fresh pie? Save me a slice. That's good. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's... Alright, that's good. Okay, okay. Alright, okay, alright. Okay, that's good. That's good. It's enough slices!
I do feel invincible having both Charizard and Dark Charizard on the field. Dark Charizard dropping some absolute bombs, but hilariously, all it takes is a little flick to win the match. The fire still burns bright, and with the next fort looming, I've got to deal with it in the best possible way. I was going to give out about the maze in this fort. However, after the first time I fell down, I did get out a pen and paper and draw a little map. It was quite old school, but I did really like doing that. Coin flips haven't been with us recently, but thankfully in this fort, Cubone's attack, if it hits heads, hits the defending Pokemon. If it hits tails, it hits one of the benched. Flareon only having 10 HP, I need it to flip tails. You know, I'm walking a very fine line with the rage that I've built up on Flareon. It's just enough to knock out the Cubones, but it's just enough to knock us out. I'm too strong and I'm too imposing for Brutus. He gives up the coin and we can now head off to prove if we've got the mental capacity in the Psychic Fort. Stepping foot into the Psychic Stronghold, Claire stops us in our tracks to tell us, oh, you've got to beat 3 of the 4 people, and they've all got silly little rules. I mean, yeah, they all do. Everyone here has a rule they want to implement. Only one isn't exactly viable right now, as I don't have the 6 Ghastly or Haunters. I probably do, but I just can't be bothered to fight that one. Somehow I managed to make a deck with no trainer cards work. That just took slow going, but got there. But picking strategically our battles, we're able to get through to Claire and take her on. Claire's battle was more akin to a typical battle you'd see in the anime. And by that I mean I was able to use a couple of different Pokemon going through as if this was an actual team. Magmar, Charizard, Flareon all made good work on taking down Claire's Pokemon. Her Mr. Mime did slow the pace down as it can't be hit by anything for more than 30 damage, so Charizard's out unless I want to do little flicks at it. Like all the GR members before her, she goes down no problem, and that is now all of the Club Masters rescued. I haven't really mentioned that as such, but in the previous ones we have rescued a good couple of them. Now that Rod's free, he can go back to TCG Island and do whatever he wants to do. We've still got GR members to take down. And now for the final hurdle. Within the Colourless Altar is actually the first time that I've had to refight anyone to get certain packs, to get certain Pokemon, because they'll have a particular Pokemon they want you to put into your decks. All 3 of them will want a different selection of, I think, 3 Pokemon. And this was, like I say, the only time that I had to go and hunt down some more cards. Thankfully, it only took like literally 1 fight to do, but it was annoying that, like I say, this was the only real time I needed to do that. But it's also a lie. They're all lying. Well, 2 of them are lying at the very least. As one of them will use a deck only with colourless Pokemon in, but the other 2 have another type with them. They're frauds. Team GR's just a load of old baloney. Speaking of sandwich filler, I didn't want to spam the same old deck through the whole game, so I have used a new one this time around for the Colourless Altar, focusing on a Raichu Pikachu deck more than anything, using both 2 of the Raichus we can get, a Versus Raichu and the Dark Raichu. One of these big lads do use a Lickitung to just paralyse over and over again, but eventually we get to get out of that. He doesn't actually flip heads, so we can gust up another one and we can use our Dark Raichu to attack the bench as well. The Dark Raichu is quite interesting because it does a random amount to the bench. It could be 0, could be 10 or 20, just however the game works. That's not how the actual card works. And it does mean we get to take a tasty 2-prize turn, leaving the final colourless Pokemon, Pidgeot, to stand firm. But he's weak to lightning, so it's easy knockout. And that is the Colourless Altar beaten. That is the final coin we needed. We can storm the castle because I used the Raichu deck. That joke is funny. Or so I thought. Because to even start taking on the King's Lackeys, I need 4 particular cards, and they come from TCG Island. The 4 cards that we worked so hard to collect in the last game. The legendary cards. A quick trip back to TCG Island And as we just rescued Rod, let's go see him and ask if we can kindly have these legendary cards for ourselves. Like in the first game and my old videos, I have created a deck to take on the final challenge. To start off, we have 3 Charmanders, 2 Dark Charmeleons, and of course 1, 2, 3 Dark Charizards. For some extra utility, I'm running 3 Fossil Magmars. Rounding out the Pokemon is a 2-2 line of Dratini and Dark Dragonair. They will help get out my evolution Pokemon. First of the trainers is a nice 4 line of Professor Oak, followed by 4 Bills. It's not just anybody's PC, it's Bill's PC, computer search, with 3 of those, picking out any cards I need. Then I've got 2 Pokemon Breeder and 1 Pokemon Trader. Mixed with the Boss's Way, I can then search out for basically any Pokemon I would need. Gusting options are always important, so I've got 3 of those. Gust of Wind, 3 Switch to get out of any hairy situations, 2 Nightly Garbage Runs to help with resource management, 3 Energy Retrieval to get back those discarded energies, 2 Item Finders, get back anything I might have wanted to use again, and to round out, 16 Fire Energies. And here is the Dark Charizard deck that I've built, like I say, for the final battle coming up. Now within the castle, this final gauntlet is before me. Clay talks a big game with his Bad Guys deck. Bad is certainly right. It's funny, I talk about the deck I've just made for this whole thing, but Clay's rules need you to have the legendary cards in, so I've had to just sort of scoot those in just to get through this, but I wouldn't forget to take them out, right? His whole deck revolves around having coverage of different types using dark Pokemon. It's not a deck I think would do very well. And would you look at that? It doesn't! He gets beaten really easily. Clay wants to weasel out of saying that he's rubbish, so he'll just try and say we're really strong, which we are. And says it's time to fight Allison. Allison is a little bit trickier. Her Ultra Removal deck, on top of her additional rule, could be quite dangerous. Her rule being, the discard pile can't be accessed. And it starts us off with a classic Charmander versus Squirtle matchup. But with all her removal and limits on the discard pile, I'm still able to take through my normal prizes. And oh look, I forgot to take out the legendary cards. But with enough stalling and several prizes later, the Moltres has got enough energy on it. And even then, it takes a couple of turns as Dive Bomb will fail if it hits the tails. She has no other Pokemon, it lands, and that is game. The 2 lackeys of the king are done and dealt with, and it's only the big man himself left to go. Allison and Clay, the 2, then escort us through. I'm surprised they didn't have wanted posters or just better security.
You see him, you stop him.
And there he is, sat on his throne, King Velissi.
It is customary to kneel before the king.
The 2 announce their defeat to us, that we are the one to, I guess, take on the king now. Voicing their opinions that they'll be surprised if we can. King Velissi has a speech clearly prepared. He's probably been waiting the whole game to be saying this. How he's saved the cards from the masters and is going to put them to their proper use. Yeah, whatever, pal. A fun little note, this is a best 2 of 3 match. We have to actually beat King Velissi twice to actually win the game here. Much like a real life tournament. So he has his beat and destroy deck. He can have 1 of 4 decks to which he will randomly select. Starts out very strong for us with no basic in hand. Not that mulligans were a thing at this time of the game. But it's not to say that my hand is any better. Lone Magmar, a Boss's Way, and then the rest just energies. But we get to go first, that's not bad. Not a great top deck. Fire energy on, smoke screen. That will hopefully help slow down some of his incoming attacks. Just Fingers crossed we can avoid them. I'm not going to go turn by turn, but I will have these matches be a little more detailed than before. Do take a prize off of his Lapras. Now he's used a plus power on his Wartortle, which already has enough energies on, but we get double tails, which doesn't do anything. What an absolute treat. Gusting around this Wartortle, trying to pick up easy prizes with this Scyther, as it's weak to fire, and we can get some poison on. It does have free retreat, so it can just sort of jump out of the active. And another double tails turn from the Wartortle. You suck, mate. You're rubbish. Getting some poison onto the Wartortle after so many turns of just, well, not being able to do anything. And he switches out anyway. Bringing in a Squirtle. We have again avoid a Paralyze here, thankfully, but we are very low. Magmar isn't doing so hot. I'm gusting after the Wartortle, so as much as I say about easy prizes and taking out the Scyther, with this heads to get poison means we can get rid of him, so there's no Dark Blastoise coming out at least, you know, this next turn. Magmar eventually goes down, a real stalwart fighter in this match. So with the Dark Dragonair, as much as I've got the other evolution Pokemon out of my deck, still haven't been able to find a basic, still haven't been able to find anything like that. On this turn, Lapras does then confuse my Dragonair, which, not great. Confusion in the early days meant you couldn't even retreat without having to flip to see if you would take any damage. Gonna try and gust out another Scyther. We're just gonna have to dump off everything into the hand, hoping for a switch here. Bill, can you get us a switch? And we do. Look at that. Fantastic. We're able to jump out. We've got a Dark Charizard now, who is ready to just go crazy. Takes out a nice Scyther. Easy little, like a little flick, and he's gone. We can stay in for a couple of water guns with Lapras, but, well, not that many, frankly. We want to get a good couple of heads here on Continuous Fireball. Hopefully not using all of our energy, just so we can take out Lapras in one go. And we do. Brilliant. So we're only down to one last prize of this game. He's still got to take 5. I've got stuff set up. This, not to be like, not to jump the gun, but this one is set up nicely. And that vending series, Mr. Mom, actually stops weakness. So lucky we got in those weakness hits before he was able to put down that card. 100 damage. We did need the 2 heads. That's game 1 down. Now to see what he wants to bring out. Yeah, that's our first win. We can carry on with the next match. Do we want to switch out our deck? No, because this is the deck, like I say, that I built specifically for this. And we have his Burn Up deck. Now, if I am correct, and this will be a fair, almost, let's say, it's not quite a mirror match, but it's very similar. Another Magmar start for us. Magmar's done absolutely fantastic with the deck. It pulls in a lot of work. Grab a Charmander. I used a computer search to grab Charmander. Early doors, I just want other basics down. Once again, using that smoke screen to potentially stall out some attacks coming in. Already a Dark Charmeleon, Dratini down as well. Use Bill, grab a couple of cards. Pokemon Trader, Pokemon Breeder. We'll get the energy on. Would be nice. We do hit a poison, so I like the poison when it's on. They're on when they get knocked out coming back into our turn. But this is fine. It's not a problem. I have got a lot of Charmans down. Oh, Bill's teleporter. Shout out to Bill. Bill's Lighthouse, baby. Don't get the poison on this one, but that's fine. 20 damage is pretty decent for these smaller Mon. And if he goes to Dark Charmeleon, that only has 50 hit points anyway. Not a massive increase. Just using a defender, so we would need to get the poison. Magmar's looking pretty rough as well. But it's fine, we're going to gust around that defender. Try and take out some other Charmanders. Going to just weaken them up, basically. The Charmander on his bench has now got a lot of energy on. He's used his ability quite a few times. Little Nail Flick, don't want to waste the energies just yet. Don't want to have both of them get discarded. Yeah, see, more energy onto this Charmander. So if we get a couple of his Charmanders, but I want this Kangaskhan in, because as much as he's got more HP, it needs a lot of energy to be able to attack, and most of his energy's gone onto this other Charmander. So it might help him draw through, but it gives us some time to stack out the rest of our board. And hell, we might even be able to get... never mind. I was going to say, maybe we might be able to get double heads, but one's fine. One of two is okay, because it still means that on the next turn I can attach an energy and then attack. Not like if I had, say, 4 energy on, and all 4 heads means I lose all the energy. Anyway, even more energy onto the Charmander. If he gets it up to a Charizard, that's going to be a lot of damage coming back my way. So he's now using Defender onto the Kangaskhan. I would need at least then 2 heads to be able to get that. But we're going to bring up that Charmander with all this energy on. And fingers crossed, we just need one. Just need one. 2's fine. As long as there's, I suppose, yeah, as long as there's 1 energy still on the Charizard, it's fine. Big damage on Charmander. Shouldn't have had all that energy on. As much as he's got ways to bring it back, it's still a nightmare for that. Finally now able to take out the Kangaskhan, get rid of some of his draw power, get rid of one of his big basics. Head-to-head Magmar battle now. We do get the poison as well on it, so that's pretty good. Even if he can then smokescreen us and we don't get to attack, we're still hitting for little chips of damage. I don't mind this using the smokescreen, so it might block his attack, and that then should be, if he stays in, knocking out the Magmar on the turn, on the way back into my turn. But he then obviously switches out, because of course he does. Taking another prize on one of these little Charmanders. He can't have many left now. Chase down that Magmar, get that prize. All sorted. So, but this is down to our last prize now. Oh, he gets a big hit on his own Dark Charizard. Continuous Fireball. 100 damage to Magmar, and he's gone. But it does mean that we are now able to see a Dark Charizard versus Dark Charizard mirror match. Just think of the carnage. 4 energies on Charizard. Big opportunity to get enough heads. 2 of the 4 is all we need.
Let's go. Too easy, dude. Give me that crown. Boom.
My Charizard's the better one. And that's it. King Velissi is done. 2 out of 3 matches. Won against both of his decks. He's lost. He just can't accept it. But here is the twist. He realises there's more ways to enjoy Pokemon cards. He wanted to collect them all. He wanted to just have the strongest cards. But now he's able to see there's so much more to the Pokemon trading card game. No matter how you use your Pokemon cards, you must enjoy yourself. He thanks us and promises that he has turned over a new leaf. No more stealing cards. He's ready to enjoy his cards. And I 100% agree with him here. Let's continue to share our passion for Pokemon cards.